Omnam habechai sham pirash od. However, the Bechai there explains it further in Efshar Lishnei Melachim Shishtamshu Bekeser Echad. The concept of, is it possible that two kings should use one crown? Ratzalomar Bitzinur Echad, that is to say, in one conduit of flow. Ki hayarak Tzinur Echad Nimshach Mehabina Lezun, because only one conduit was drawn from Bina to both Za and Nukva, Shehim Shemesh Ulavana, which are the corresponding with the sun and the moon. Vitzinur Zeh Nimshach B'Shemesh, and this conduit goes into the sun. Umimenu Mikabelas Halavana, and from it, and from the sun, that's where the moon receives from. V'hibiksha, and the moon was requesting Sheyihiyeh Tzinor Bifnei Atzma, that it should have its own conduit. Nimshach Ma'bina Shelo Al Yidei Zachulu, that should be coming from Bina, not through Ziranpin. V'zelashona, and this is the language of the Bechai there. Amra Ar Kavod Bifnei Bina, the honor said in front of the Bina. This is what the moon said. Efshar Lishnei Melachim, is it possible for two kings, Shehem HaTiferes VeHaKavod, or Tiferes and Kavod, meaning Malchus, Shishtamshu B'Tzinur Echad, that should use one conduit, V'shelo Yihiyeh L'Kol Melech U'Melech Tzinur B'Fnei Atzma, and each king should not have its own conduit, L'Kabel V'Lishov Milamayla, to receive and to gather from above, Milifnai V'Lifnim, from the inner and the in, meaning to say from the Kodesh HaKadoshim above it. Ratza HaKavod Sheyihiyeh Lo Tzinur B'Fnei Atzma, that the Kavod, the Malchus, wanted to have its own conduit, Limshoch Min Habina, to draw it down from Bina, Kemo HaTiferes, like the concept of Tiferes of Zah, Lo Shit Starich Limshoch Min HaTiferes, and not to get it from the Tiferes. Amar La, so he said to her, L'chiu Maitius Atzmech, go and make yourself smaller. Hamatazu, this making smaller, he Hafsakas Hashefa El HaKavod Milamayla, is the stopping the flow to the kavod from above. Adkan Lashono, meaning to say that it no longer got the flow. It wanted to get the flow straight, and it says, well, I'm not going to even give you any flow. And we need to understand what's the concept of stopping this flow. So what's the intention? Does it mean that it will not get this what it requested? It will not get this conduit on its own to receive them from the Bina. It didn't have that yet either. So you might say, oh, it requested this, and it says, no, you're not going to have that anymore. I'm going to stop that flow. But it never had that. So we can't say that that's what it is. But we must say that even in the flow that it already has, that flow which it's getting from the Tiferes, which the kavod is getting from the Tiferes, it should be smaller, lesser. And the intention is that at first they were equal in their stature, both the Tiferes and the kavod. Even though the moon receives from the sun, it was in a way of just passing through. Just passed through the sun. And therefore it had the same light, had a great light like the sun. And that is that they were using one crown. That this same conduit that drew down from Bina to Zah, afterwards was drawn from Zah into Malchus, the same flow, the same conduit. Just like it shined into Zah, it shined into Malchus. And therefore it's called one crown for both of them, or Godel b'halavana kamo b'hashemish, a great light in the moon like it is in the sun. It's only that this conduit to the moon went through the sun. But when he said to her, go and make yourself smaller, it's not that this conduit should shine anymore into it, just like it shines into Zeranpin, rather, but from Zeranpin should come to it, should be drawn to it, a conduit, a smaller conduit. Just like a light that shines through a small window. So it's a different conduit. So it did get another conduit. Like it says in Eitz Chaim, in the beginning, that concept of through a window is through Yisod of Zah. As is known, the concept of the different chalonos from the Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer, there's a concept of the chalonos and shamayim and so forth. And then the moon is called the small luminary, because the conduit that flowed into it became smaller. So too, at times, the flow is prevented and doesn't come down. And it's completely lacking. So that's another perush in the Bechaye. And another earlier perush in the Bechaye as well, a third perush. That the sun and the moon in the beginning of creation were equal in their light. And the intention isn't, and the lessening of the light and so forth, look over there, and the intention is close to what we explained here. So he doesn't actually say what it is, but this perush was already said in this Maamar, so he doesn't want to review it. Meaning, perhaps he's referring to the chiddush of going up to Keser or so forth, the elevation of the sun. But we have to look inside. And similarly, the Rashba explains, as is brought in Yaakov, in Shavuos, and we have another concept of the sun and the moon, the way the Bechai explains the Parsha of Peretz and Zarach, the sons of Yehuda, and that corresponds with also the sun and the moon. Mizrachi Pinchas, Akedashin Lam Zayin, Zioni Pinchas, Ma'areches Sharches, Rikanti Breshis, Sora Memoros, Maimer Im Kol Chai, Chilik Aleph, Simen Yud Zayin, V'Simen Kof Aleph, Las Yaakov, Besisrei, Rosh Chodesh, B'Tfilosov, Daf Lamed Gimel Lamed Beis. Look at all these nice Maram Komos. Ubo Mevuar, Shayu Shnei HaMeoros HaGedolim. You had, it explains or at least in the last one that he brought, the Tzolas Yaakov. So you had these two great luminaries, Aval lo haya hayichud beinehem, but you didn't have the unity between them. You had two great luminaries, but yet not united. Al ze amar efshar chulu, shetzarech lios yichud v'ashpah chulu. It's saying, is it possible to have two kings with one crown? It's not enough to just have, you have to have the flow downwards. Mashpia mikabel, a giver and a receiver. So that's what it was lacking, unity. Al derech ben zug, like a shidduch. V'kavanasa shtia hi hamashpas, and its intention was that it should be the one to give the flow. Al derech hanal ben yin nekevet tesoviv chulu. Tesoviv is like the concept in the time to come when the feminine will surround the masculine and give to it. Avodas HaKodesh Chelik Daled Perek Ches Zohar Chelik Gimel Pinchas Reish Mem Zayin Sof Amud Beis Reish Mem Ches Amud Aleph Shach Pinchas. I'm not sure what Taf Vav Ches is. Zohar Chadash Daf Yudaled, not Toras Chaim. Pardes Shar Miut HaYereach Shalah Daf Kuf Mem Ches Amud Beis V'Daf Kuf Mem Tes Aleph Beis Sheherich Bebir Maimar Vayeshev Kuf Be'Aleph. That then Shalah explains at length the statement in the Zohar Al Pasuk Ach El HaParuches Lo Yavo, but you should not go into the Holy of Holies. You should not go into the Paroches. Talking about the division of the Holy and the Holy of Holies. There it does explain the concept of bring for me an atonement that I made the moon smaller. And this lessening is that it descended to the worlds of Bria Yitzira Asiyah, Lihiyos Rosh L'Shualim, to be the head of the foxes. In order for it to go down into Bia, you can only do that through a lessening. So if its intention was you had to have a flow downwards, so in order to accomplish that, hey, you have to go make yourself smaller. That is to say, only the Malchus of Malchus to go down. That's all it had to. That's the only presence that it could have. It couldn't have a higher presence down there. And the Arizal explains this as well. And this intention to go down is to purify the lower worlds of Biyah. That is to have a nullification of the existence. That the existence down there should have a bitla, should be nullified to above, to the godliness. And this purification is still called the feminine waters, and still external. Like the concept of the nullification of Eliyahu and Navi, Beguf, that his bittul was chitzonius because he literally had a body go up into heaven, and with the susei eish, v'rechav and so forth, and the horses of fire and chariot of fire. Mashenkin Moshe v'nachnu ma, which is not the case with Moshe, that his bittul was internal. He said, "What are we? Bittul amiti, true bittul, kinyan malachim l'gabi neshamos," and similar. You can have this comparison with angels in comparison to souls, that the malachim have a bittul chitzoni, whereas neshamos are a bittul pnimi. And then after it purifies and elevates the feminine waters, the malchus that went down, azay b'rosh chodesh molad halavana. Then on Rosh Chodesh you have a new moon. Then it receives not just the bittul hayesh of the Mayin Nukvin, but it receives a higher bittul, a true bittul, from the sun. The Yechudei law of the supernal union, as opposed to the Yechudei Tata of Malchus, of Shem Kvod Malchusa. Ein biur hanitzach ubedibur hamaskal v'hine anachnu ma'al mimchu. Not sure what the biur of hanitzach is. Maybe hanitzach zu binyan Yerushalayim or something. Or hanitzach v'yahod. I'm not sure what that is. Which Maamar? V'zeu inyan mayin dechurin the ma hamivarer mayin nukfin the ban. And this is the concept of the masculine waters of the name ma that purifies the feminine waters of the name ban. Because the concept of Shem ban is hamivarer, that purifies. You elevate it up and you have a reflective flow from above, the masculine concept, and that comes from Shem ma, as opposed to Shem ban, that ma is the birur sheni, it's the second purification after the first birur, as is known. Now this, that Malchus purifies, that you should have the nullification of the existence, that's the concept of battle. In Ishes Chayil, the woman of valor, is giving food, but it uses the word teref, like torn, like a treifa, like an animal that attacks and has spoils. Binyamin ze'ev yitrav chulu. Binyamin is also the concept of Malchus in comparison to Yosef, who's Yesod. He is a wolf that attacks and is toref. Look what it says about when you go out to battle. That the concept of Malchus and the Birurim going down is a concept of battle. Shas achila, shas krava, shas tefila, shas krava, and so forth. And sometimes you need to give a place to the one who you're opposing, because it's not enough to not do that, and you need to, in order to afterwards be victorious over them. So I guess, let's say you're in a fight, you need to back up a little in order to pounce on them properly, or to attack them properly. You can't just be grappling with them constantly the whole time, face to face. And therefore, that's why he needs atonement, because he made the moon smaller. Maybe he gave a place to the other side in order to conquer it. Or because it's in battle, or because it all implies that it actually did go down, and so forth.